Hi everyone, and welcome back to the last part of the online Ableton sessions here at learningmusic.ableton.com. So in the last two ones we looked at making beats and we looked at song structure, and today we're going to look at something called the playground. So the playground is a place where you can sketch out your song ideas using beats, bass lines, chords and melodies, and you can play them all together at the same time to see what a song would sound like. Now I would encourage you to just go on here and just try out anything you like and really experiment with trying lots of different things, but I'm going to give you some hints and tips to try and make that process a bit easier. Okay, I'm going to quickly show you how I would go about making a beat using the Ableton Playground. First of all, I'm going to start with the drums. I usually find this easiest because the drums form a good foundation for the rest of the track. I'm going to make a dance music beat today, so my tempo will be around 130 BPM, which is perfect for dance music. I've got my 4 on the floor kick drum and a snare on the 2 and the 4. This is a pretty standard dance beat. Let's hear what it sounds like. Okay, so I'm just going to add in some claps and some hi-hats to try and make it a bit more interesting. Okay, now if you want to add in a lot of hi-hats, you can just click and drag, and you get all your hi-hats in like that. Maybe a bit too many hi-hats, so let's just try taking a few out. Deleting a few hi-hats can just help you get a bit more space in your music and can create interesting rhythms as well. So once I've got my drums sorted, I'm going to move on to the bass. And if you've done any of the other learning sessions on the Ableton website, this will look familiar. If not, don't worry, it's pretty much the same. You just enter notes by clicking, but instead of putting in drums, it puts in a bass line. So I've got what's called an offbeat pattern here, where the bass plays on the end of every beat. So in my drums, my kick drum will be on the beat, and this will be off the beat. So let's hear what they sound like together. Can you hear they sit quite well together? The bass is a rhythm instrument, so it's important that it works well with the kick drum. Try experimenting with making different bass lines yourself and seeing what you can come up with. There's some things to remember though, like always try and keep it simple. A really good bass line works really well with the drum line. And also it's important that we don't play too many bass notes together on top of each other. The bass plays all the low notes and they need a lot of space, so let's hear what it would sound like if we had lots of notes playing on top of each other. It might not sound very good. Can you hear that it sounds all muddy? If they're far enough apart, like for instance here I'm playing a low E along with a high E, it can sound pretty good because they're an octave apart. So in the next part we're going to add in some chords. I've put these ones in earlier. A chord is just basically 2 or more notes played together, and in electronic music it's usually played by something like a piano or a synthesizer. We also call it a pad sometimes. You can select what key we're playing in up here. I've set it to E minor, which is the same as the bass key. But you can set it to anything you like if you want to experiment around and get some like interesting sounds with like different chord keys. Don't worry if you don't know much about music theory here. All these notes should sound good together because they're all in the same key. The best way to learn is to just move things around and see how they sound together until you find something that you like. You can click and drag on these notes to make them longer as well. Let's hear what this sounds like. Can you start to hear how everything's coming together? So I could do something now, like I could change the end of my bass line and it might sound a bit more interesting as well. Let's see what that sounds like. There you go, so you can start to get an idea of a song just by moving things around and experimenting and seeing what you can come up with. Okay, so the last part is the melody. In electronic music, this is usually played by a lead synthesizer, a guitar, or sung by a singer. It can be the hardest part to get right in a way, as it's usually the most prominent part of the song and the part that people want to sing along to, so it can be important to get it correct. I'm going to show you a pretty simple way to write a melody using this Ableton software here. So it might look a bit weird, but I'm just going to add in a load of random notes. And I haven't really thought about it. Let's just hear what it sounds like. Alright, it doesn't really make much sense. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the drum line and the bass line, and I'm going to start to slowly delete some of these notes and make some of them longer. And you'll be able to hear a melody start to form out of that. And this is a really useful way to make a simple melody if you're struggling to write one. So let's give it a go. So it still needs a bit of work, but it's just a really simple way to make a melody really quickly. So I hope you've enjoyed all these Ableton lessons. If you want, you can get a free trial of the real Ableton software on www.ableton.com. In it there's loads of different sounds, effects and ways to make music. All you need is a laptop and you're ready to make some tunes. Thanks guys.